Good morning, Santa Clarita. Welcome in. Welcome in. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and I Lead School's Eye on the Valley. I am Matt Watson. Happy Friday. Welcome back. It is great to have you. Today is going to be an absolutely fantastic day. You want to know why? Well, because I've decided that it's going to be a fantastic day. That's right. It is a decision, friends. You are the master of your universe. You get to decide what kind of a day this is going to be. So if you're sitting there in bed thinking, I don't want to get out of bed, and then you drag that attitude with you when you finally do get up, then, you're probably going to have a rough day, right? But if you decide right now to bounce up and decide that it's going to be a great day, then it probably will be. And I know it's not altogether that simple. There are plenty of unexpected things that crop up along our day. But, there's stuff that's not always in our control. But you know what? Even that stuff, it gets filtered through our attitude, right? And you'd be surprised at how much is actually in our control. So, get up, have a great day. After all, you've already started the day out right. You tuned into our show. So you made one good decision this morning, and that's just going to knock down the dominoes for a bunch of other good decisions and great things that are going to happen today and this weekend. That's right. It's Friday. Super excited. Friday of a holiday weekend. Some of you out there are on the front end of a 4-day weekend, and most of us are sliding into a 3-day weekend. Super exciting. President's Day coming up, and going to celebrate Valentine's Day. In fact, we've got a whole bunch of holidays going on this weekend. We've got a bunch of holidays going on this weekend. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. Our show, Eye on the Valley, is brought to you by SCVi and I Lead Schools. We are a network of charter schools with campuses on the west side of the valley, right here in Castaic. And I know I say Castaic, and everybody says, oh, way up there. It's just off Newhall Ranch Road. It's, South Castaic. It's right there. Then we've got another school here on the east side of town in Agua Dulce. We've got schools in Lancaster. We've also got a fully accredited online school. We spoke with somebody from our online school last week. They're doing amazing things. We've also got a burgeoning homeschool program. I've got a meeting with a couple of folks in our homeschool program a little later today, and it is not homeschool like you've ever imagined it. iLead Exploration has just an incredible homeschool program. If that's something that you're interested in, you just pop on over to ileadschools.org, and we've got just about everything as far as education that you could ever want. So check us out. Again, ileadschools.org. So we've got our eye on education here in Santa Clarita and across the nation. But like our show says, we also keep our eye on the valley, bringing you everything you need to know with what's what here in the valley. And we do it all while having a little fun. If you know me, you know that I refuse to do anything unless I can laugh while I'm doing it, which tends to get me in trouble sometimes. But that's okay, because sometimes the only thing more fun than getting into trouble is trying to figure out a way to get myself out of trouble. While my brother pokes and prods and twists that knife that I've put in my own back, or that foot that I've put in my own mouth. Yeah, he's a real peach. Have you met my brother? He'll join us a little bit later on in the show for some fun and games. Speaking of which, we do have a great show for you. As I mentioned, we're an education-based show, and in just a moment, we'll be talking to two of our teachers from our school in Agua Dulce. Agua Dulce? Tomato, tomate. Anyways, we'll be joined by Melissa Ortiz and Grace Wells in just a minute. They're here to talk about some of the engaging projects they're working on with their students. And in keeping our eye on those important things for you here in the Valley and, well, across our nation, next hour we'll have CPA Matt Denny. CPA. That's right. It is tax season. So Matt will be here. And in fact, I believe the IRS just announced they're accepting returns starting Monday. So Matt will be here to make sure that we get the most out of our return. And then, yes, we will wrap up the show, as I mentioned, with Big T. That's the big brother I was telling you about. He's got a fun new game that he's going to introduce us to. And we may just take a minute, like I said, to celebrate some of those the 4 holidays that we've got over the next 5 days. We'll be celebrating New Year's Day among them. That'll make a little bit more sense a little bit later on in the show. So let's do this. My first guests today, Grace Wells and Melissa Ortiz, make up the fifth grade teaching team at iLead Agua Dulce. We call them facilitators because they don't just dictate class, the way Charlie Brown's teacher used to, with teacher's edition in hand. Rather, they set the stage for the learners. That's what we call our students. And Grace attended the University of Laverne, where she earned her degree in education and her multi-subject teaching credential. And Melissa earned her bachelor's degree at the University of San Francisco and her master's from the University of Laverne. Ladies, welcome to Eye on the Valley. It's good to have you.
Hi, Matt.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, it is my pleasure. I'm so glad you're here to join us. So, tell us first a little bit about yourselves. Why don't you tell us how you found your way to iLead Schools and iLead Agua Dulce? Grace, let's start with you. How did you find us?
Oh, Matt, it was quite a journey, but I actually found iLead through Grizz Barron. She's a family friend.
Yeah.
And then once I connected with Grizz, she directed me to the beautiful Star Search program that you guys offer, where it's not just a 20-minute interview, it's a full day interview, which I felt like you guys really got to know me. And then from there, I eventually connected with Lisa Latimer and made my way over to Agua Dulce.
Gosh, Grace, I have to tell you, you are probably the third or fourth person that has mentioned to us here at Eye on the Valley that Gris referred you to our Star Search program and brought you to our organization. We're going to have to start giving Gris a bonus or something like that. She's amazing, isn't she? What about you,
She's
Melissa?
amazing.
Are you longtime personal friends with Gris Ibarra?
I met Gris during Star Search, but I found iLead through my brother. He was teaching at SCVi. He was teaching sixth grade, and he was just telling me about the school culture and how great iLead was. So I applied. I did Star Search, and like Grace, I was just amazed by the experience. It was a full day. They really immersed you in the school culture. I started subbing at SCVi, and then they had a long-term sub position open up at Agua Dulce. I came to the campus the first day and was like, I need to teach here. So I reached out to Lisa, and I was on the teaching team and teaching fifth grade the following year.
Very cool. So I'm going to switch it up here just a little bit. You mentioned the campus at Agua Dulce, and it really is. It's funny. Even me, I spend my time at all of our campuses here around Southern California, but there's something special about our campus there in Agua Dulce. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about the campus and its different spaces, because you guys have some really unique and engaging, and by engaging, the way the kids express that is, oh, cool. You've got some really engaging spaces both inside and outside. Can you guys tell us a little bit more about the campus at iLead Agua Dulce?
Yes. I'll let Grace go
Melissa.
first. So we have the Exploratorium, which is a place where the learners are able to go and learn new technology. We have a 3D printer. We have Mac computers, iPads, and we have a facilitator who is leading those learners and also learning those devices. We have an outdoor classroom, which Miss Bybee does an awesome job really facilitating the exploration, the play, and we have the garden, which is my personal favorite. The learners are able to go and learn different aspects of math, all while gardening. So it's such a beautiful facility.
It really is. I've spent quite a bit of time up there. In fact, I subbed for your principal, Lisa Latimer, for a few days. And it's funny, I was just taking pictures of the campus. I was just so struck by the kids out there at recess playing around. And I texted them to a friend of mine, and he says, "Where are you working today? 1976?" And that's it. It really did remind us of our childhood. The kids are growing up there the way I grew up, jumping in puddles
Mhm.
and getting dirty and just really exploring their world. It really is just an amazing campus. Now, you guys said that you teach fifth grade. Fifth grade was always one of my favorite subjects to teach. I taught it for several years. What do you guys enjoy teaching about? What do you guys enjoy about teaching fifth grade?
I mean, for me, Matt, there's, I think, so many parts to that question. But for me, the overarching is the learners. The kiddos are just at such a fun age for me, where I feel like I can connect with them. And during that specific age, fifth grade, you see so much growth in them in the sense of maturity, and really them figuring themselves out and learning how to identify themselves in this society. So that's why I love teaching fifth grade.
Yeah, and similar to me, this is my second year teaching fifth grade, and it's honestly my favorite grade level. Like Grace said, they're really growing into themselves and finding out who they are, and it's just such an amazing transformation to see from that beginning of the year to the end.
That's what I love the most. Is you look at pictures of your fifth graders at the beginning of the year, and then you look at them again at the end of the year, and they have grown. They grow so much during that period of time. They're becoming so much more independent, right? And I used to
Yes.
love challenging them to think more deeply, to start to develop their own opinions, not just repeat what they've heard somewhere else. But at the same time, they're not quite middle schoolers yet, so they still love their teachers. It's just
Yeah.
it's such an amazing age. So yeah, it really is exciting. Now we'll talk about this a little bit more, but are you guys a kindergarten to fifth grade, kindergarten to sixth grade? What grades do you guys cover at Agua Dulce?
Sorry, go ahead.
So we're currently K through 8, but next year we are so excited to say that we are expanding to high school. So we will be K through 12, TK through 12.
That is so exciting. Yeah, you guys started out that first year, TK, transitional kindergarten, for those that aren't aware. The state moved the date for when kindergartners could enroll, and then here there were these kids that were 4.5, almost 5, that kind of got left out of kindergarten, and so we were able to open up a transitional kindergarten for those kids kind of caught in the middle there. So we started out with transitional kindergarten through just fifth grade just a couple years ago, and already we've grown to a TK through eighth grade, and that's so exciting to hear. You guys are opening up high school next year, so that's really exciting. Like I said, I want to touch on that a little bit more a little bit later on. It's funny. I've lived in Santa Clarita now for 40 years, and I've always thought of Agua Dulce as a little bit more removed from the rest of our valley. It was like, oh yeah, you want to go up to Agua Dulce? That's a little bit of a trek, but it wasn't until we opened up your school there in Agua Dulce that I realized how close it actually was. In fact, I live in the heart of Saugus, and Agua Dulce is actually closer to me in Saugus than SCVi is, just on the west side of town. It's such a perfect location. We've got families that bring their kids down from the Antelope Valley on their way to work, down south, drop them off in the morning and scoop them up on their way home. We've even got families that make that drive around the hills from the northern parts of the San Fernando Valley. And of course, most of our families come from the east side of Santa Clarita, talking about like Newhall, Canyon Country, Agua Dulce. So if you're in Newhall, Canyon Country, obviously Agua Dulce, you don't know how close this campus is. It really is oftentimes almost as close as your neighborhood campus there. Ladies, when we are on campus, what part of town do you two commute from? Do you have a long drive?
I am actually in Santa Clarita. I'm right off of Newhall Ranch Road, right behind CPK. So honestly, my drive is not bad whatsoever. I go against traffic.
Right.
And yeah, it's a nice drive.
Yeah, it's a nice little jaunt. It always surprised me. And it's funny, your voices are so similar. Was that Melissa that just answered?
That was great.
That was great. Okay, Melissa, what about you? Do you have a long commute to get to Agua Dulce?
I live in Keswick, and it is not bad at all. I live right off the freeway, so I just hop on. Our school's basically right off the freeway, too.
Right.
And it takes me like maybe 30 minutes, but it's a nice drive. I'm always going against traffic. And it's such a cute town, so I love it.
It is. And, those two things are pretty much exactly what our families comment when they get to our campus. First of all, gosh, I didn't realize how close this was. That this isn't going to be a tough drive for me in the mornings. And then how adorable the campus is, because as you said, it's right off the freeway there, but it's in Agua Dulce. You guys are literally across the street from Vasquez Rocks, the park there. And in fact, there have been afternoons where when the weather's beautiful and your kids are caught up on projects and things like that, a bunch of the classes will just cross the street and go hike in the rocks, explore, maybe do a science experiment over there, or climb around and learn about nature. It really is an amazing campus. When you walk on campus, when our kids are back on campus, you'll see them climbing in trees, as I mentioned, getting dirty, exploring the world around them, and learning in such an innovative and engaging way. Project-based learning. Ladies, I want to talk about some of the projects that you're working on with your fifth graders this year, but let's take a quick break and we will talk about that when we get back, okay? We're talking to Grace Wells and Melissa Ortiz from iLead Agua Dulce, iLead's campus here on the east side of the valley. You are listening to SCVi and iLead Schools and iLead Agua Dulce's Eye on the Valley. I am Matt Watson on your hometown station, KHTS.
No words can describe the power of belonging to a group of close friends or being part of a family. Insight Treatment Center was founded more than 20 years ago to give teenagers a community of friends and family as they overcome issues like depression, anxiety, and trauma. The new Santa Clarita location is a COVID-secure environment where distance and good airflow are a priority. As a leader in providing intensive outpatient treatment to teenagers, Insight Treatment Center in Santa Clarita is here to help. Call 888-295-9995 or go online to insighttreatment.com.
Why did Mercedes-Benz of Valencia win the Dealer of Excellence Award in 2019?
Because we strive to provide the most outstanding sales experience.
Mercedes-Benz of Valencia COO Chris Paz.
We know you have high expectations. Our stellar team will meet and exceed your expectations. That's why we were named Mercedes Best of the Best, placing us in the top 10% of all Mercedes dealers nationwide.
Find out how you can lease a new Mercedes for unbelievably low monthly payments. Details at mbzvalencia.com.
Welcome to Dunkin', where safety is their #1 priority. The staff at Dunkin' has daily temperature checks and goes through a series of current health questions prior to each shift. They have all the necessary PPE, including masks, shields, and gloves. In addition, every store is sanitized several times an hour for your protection. Use the Dunkin' app for specials and to order ahead. Carry out and curbside pickup is available, or have your order delivered by Grubhub, Postmates, Uber Eats, or DoorDash. Dunkin', all-day sandwiches, donuts, bagels, muffins, and of course, hot and cold beverages. Visit Dunkin' on Bouquet, next to Lowe's, or the Dunkin' in Canyon Country on Sierra Highway. The Santa Clarita Valley runs on Dunkin'.
When you look at your child, you see so much. A creative spirit that surprises you every day. A little leader growing to discover who they are, what they love, and how they can make the world better. At SCVi, we see those same amazing things. Our tuition-free TK-12 charter school provides boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine freely, with a learning program customized just for your child. Today, that means empowering your child to bring strengths and passions to the distance learning environment. Our approach keeps your child and family in step while online, inspiring your learner to keep growing without missing a beat. At SCVi, your child will find even more ways to grow with projects and activities in STEAM, robotics, theater, music, and sports. With the only international baccalaureate program in Santa Clarita, SCVi produces graduates who excel at top universities and in life. For enrollment information or to learn more about our distance learning program, visit ileadsantaclarita.org. iLead Schools. Free to think, inspired to lead.
Experience Frontier Toyota's all-new hot and exciting Toyota lineup. Serving the Santa Clarita Valley for over 30 years. Frontier Toyota, the Camry, Corolla, and Prius Kings. They're tops in Tacoma and Tundra trucks. Frontier Toyota, the new way of car buying. Shop from home at frontiertoyota.com or visit their showroom at Valencia and Creekside. Discover a whole new car buying experience with your friends at Frontier Toyota.
your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 on the FM dial and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and I Lead School's Eye on the Valley. I am Matt Watson, and this morning we're talking with the 5th grade teaching team at I Lead Agua Dulce. We're talking about Grace Wells and Melissa Ortiz. You know, before the break, we started talking about PBL, and that's project-based learning. You know, I've realized we as teachers, we like to do that. We like to develop acronyms. We like to speak in code. We like to say things the way the average Joe wouldn't necessarily understand them. So yeah, we talk a lot about PBL, but that's short for project-based learning. PBL is a style of education that basically builds the curriculum into real-life projects. Do you remember when you were a kid and you would spend a week, 2 weeks learning a new concept or a new process, and all the while you're wondering to yourself, when am I ever going to use this in the real world? Well, that's kind of the antithesis of project-based learning, because like I said, project-based learning builds all the stuff that kids need to know into these real-life projects or close simulations anyways sometimes. And learners, like I said, that's what we call our students, learners are posed with these large, overarching driving questions or problems that they have to answer or solve. The answer is developed through the development of these projects, the process by which organically just, it seems for the kids anyways, almost by happenstance, that their projects just require the learning that they have to do in the subject matter so that they can be successful, and they just learn kind of naturally as they're excited about getting to that end result of their project. So Melissa, Grace, let's talk a little bit about the projects that you guys do in your classroom. First of all, Grace, can you tell us a little bit, you know, I Lead Agua Dulce is unique in that we use a PBL approach, a project-based learning approach. So how does project-based learning improve the outcomes? Because we don't just do this to be goofy, right? That is why we use PBL, right? To improve the outcomes. How does project-based learning benefit our kids?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a couple pieces here, but for me, it improves the overall learner outcome because through project-based learning, we create experiences for our learners. And I would argue that any human remembers experiences. We remember how we feel throughout a process. More so than sitting down and memorizing something. So through PBL, we create experiences for our learners. Through those experiences, I think that it deepens and strengthens the overall learning taking place because, like you said, it is real-life situations that we propose to our learners, and through that, that's where the magic happens. That's where the learning takes place.
Boy, you hit the nail on the head. You know, Maya Angelou, the famous poet, famously was quoted as saying, "I've learned that people will forget what you've said. People will forget even what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." And that's, you know, that's kind of the heart behind it, right? These projects evoke this feeling and these memories. Even when I go back to my very traditional education, I remember those experiences. You know, 6th grade, I don't remember learning fractions or decimals. I'm sure Mr. Brolin did a great job teaching me them because I know them now. But I remember that project that he had us do where I was assigned to Virginia and I had to plan a family vacation to drive all the way out to Virginia. I even remember the restaurants that I planned to stop at and mapping our trip and budgeting. It was that experience that I remember, you know, years later. And that's what our kids are getting, not just that once a year or twice a year. They're getting their entire curriculum that way. So, Melissa, can you give us a little bit of an example? Can you tell us about the project that you guys are working on currently with your learners? In fact, I understand, Melissa, you guys just launched a project. You've got a brand new one that your kids are working on now?
Yes, we just launched our project this week. And when we started planning for this project, we had our learners in the beginning of the year kind of tell us, like, what are their interests? So a lot of our learners told us they love cooking. So me and Grace, came together and were like, how can we plan a project around cooking?
Okay.
And then we got the greatest idea and came up with our driving question of how can we each contribute to create a diverse, great American cooking show. So our learners are going to be diving full deep into cooking, creating a cooking show, and we are having them do a virtual trip around the United States, looking at all the food that makes each state unique. They'll be learning about the history. They'll be looking at regions of the United States, and all by the exploration of food, what brings us together. And at the end, our learners will be creating a cooking or baking show based off of all the information we learned throughout our project. We'll be doubling recipes, learning about fractions. What better way than through cooking? So this project is going to be so much fun, and our goal is to keep our learners connected through distance learning. That's the one thing our learners really have connected with, is being able to have our morning meetings. So on Fridays, we'll all be cooking together. So
that is beautiful.
We're really excited about this project. We'll be going through all Common Core standards, but in a real life problem. So.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned hitting on the Common Core standards. As you're talking, I'm sure what the kids are hearing about is cooking and the different regions of the country that they may know about or may wonder about, and what they might, the different recipes they might be developing. You mentioned the different regions around the United States, so they're going to be learning the geography and the map and the culture of our country. You mentioned they're going to be learning about fractions, which, boom, if you've ever taught fifth grade or spent any time around a fifth grader, that's one of the things that we're supposed to hit hard, and you're getting it so very naturally. And then, I can see just a tremendous amount of writing, but then also what we call those soft skills, right? Because remember, we talk about all these important things: learning fractions, very important; learning to read and write and investigate and research. All that stuff is super important. But when we talk to employers, when we talk to any business leader, when we talk to college admissions experts, what they're asking for is, all that stuff is great, all that stuff is important, not going to downplay it, but please teach our students things like critical thinking. Teach them how to speak publicly. Teach them how to work together. And you're pulling all that stuff in as well. And that's one of the things that I think visitors to our campus often comment on is, these kids are learning some exciting things, and your exploratorium's great. It's cool to see them climbing in trees. But they're so articulate, and they seem so comfortable in their own skin, within a crowd. They can handle issues. I remember when our LA County Supervisor, Catherine Barger, was on your campus, and there was a little bit of a problem that came up. Were you guys there when that happened?
I don't think I was there when that happened.
So Catherine Barger is out there, and she was touring the campus, and she looked down, and there was a snake, because we're out there in the country. There was a snake there who was actually stuck in its own little hole, and what had happened is the snake had caught a gopher, right? Thank you, Mr. Snake. But it had the gopher in its mouth, and it was now trapped in the hole there in the ground. And so one of our fifth graders just came on over and realized it wasn't a dangerous snake, and was just able to grab the snake and dislodge it from the hole, and still leave its lunch there intact and allow it to move. It just solved the problem right there, and Supervisor Barger was just so impressed. Such a funny, cute story, but very indicative of how our learners just handle stuff, right? They just learn how to handle stuff. Melissa, you mentioned the difficulty and how you're adapting with distance learning, because let's remember we're still in LA County here in Agua Dulce, and so we still can't have all of our learners back on campus quite yet, bringing those infection rates down. Grace, can you tell us a little bit more about that? How does this work? when kids aren't able to be on campus? How are you able to have them work together when they can't be together? How are you able to get them to communicate when they're, kind of all stuck at home?
Yeah. So, I mean, we do our morning meetings every morning. They're one of my favorite parts to start the day. Parents have told me so many times, they're like, all I hear is my kid laughing. And we laugh all the time over just basic conversations that arise. But looking a little bit larger than the morning meetings, we have hosted drive-through events on our campus where learners can obviously drive by and connect and meet with their facilitators. For example, for Halloween, we did a drive-through trick-or-trunk, I think is what they're called. And so we actually gave the learners each their trick-or-treat bags, and then they stopped at each of the facilitator stations, and we passed out different treats for them. But to get a little bit more specific in regards to our project, how we're connecting and, creating this connection through distance learning, Melissa and I really took a step back on this project and wanted to make this relatable for families and for learners. And so we were sitting there and we're like, what are people doing right now at home? We're all cooking. We're baking.
We're all making sourdough bread.
Right. and so what we wanted to do is through the process of fractions, through the process of science, the chemical and physical changes, we wanted to bring it into the kitchen. We as humans connect and bond in the kitchen. And so we're like, what a better way to teach fractions than being in our kitchen? So that's kind of how we're connecting through that. So like Melissa mentioned, every Friday, we are all going to be in, I told my kids, each other's kitchen, and we're going to just spend time in there cooking. And so hopefully, that keeps us connected. And I know my learners are so excited. They're like, we get to see your kitchen? I'm like, yeah, I better clean it first.
Right.
But,
Make sure there's no cucarachas in there. What an innovative idea, because, it's something that you couldn't, well, I was going to say you could never do. I'm sure you could probably find a way, but it wouldn't be as effective when our kids are on campus, right? Because it's, for liability reasons and just logistical reasons, you wouldn't be able to take your 25 kids into the kitchen and have them each cooking a different thing. And it would be a nightmare to have them take turns and do it over the course of 25 weeks or whatever it would be. But since our kids are stuck there at home and they're already, like you said, in their kitchens, let's take advantage of that, and you're still able to build the curriculum into it. That is beautiful. So, what other kinds of projects have you guys had your kids work on?
So we had. Go ahead, Melissa. You go.
So we had a toy project that we launched the beginning of the year. And our driving question was, how can we create an innovative and design a toy that really builds to a business model? And our learners really went through the design process of creating a toy. We had breakout rooms through Zoom where they launched their ideas to other learners. And through that, they were able to give advice and things that they could tweak, and they kept on rebuilding their toy. They learned how to make a business plan, and we did all that through decimals and just real life skills. Our learners, at the end of our project, we launched a live website where the learners were able to sell their toy that they created. And they were just so excited that they're like, people are actually going to buy our toy. So we had learners that were selling their toy, and we had that transaction. They, safely through COVID, they dropped off their toy, and then when it was ready, the person that was going to buy the toy picked it up and dropped off the money, and we had that whole transaction. So we really have tried to strive to create projects through distance learning that keep our learners connected. and allow them to stay engaged and want to come to class.
That is so cool, because I'm sure your kids talk about the toy project, and if a critical ear is listening, that, oh great, the kids are busy learning about toys, fantastic, but what about the important stuff? But on the other end, when your kids are saying toys, you guys are thinking innovation, entrepreneurial development, the design process, collaboration, business planning, budgeting, math, STEM, IT, all these different things that they're learning that are going to make them so much more valuable in the business world, and it's going to make them leaders. Melissa, Grace, it sounds like you guys are doing just some amazing things. You keep it up. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
You guys have a great long weekend, and if you're listening and you hear these great things going on at iLead Agua Dulce or any one of our other iLead schools, I want you to jump on our website. It's iLeadAguaDulce.org. We've got it in the Facebook live chat there for you, or you can go to iLeadSchools.org and check out all of our campuses. We've got a couple of events at iLead Agua Dulce coming up for you. Our kindergarten roundup will be held on Thursday, February 18th at 6 p.m. via Zoom. Again, you can go to iLeadAguaDulce.org to register for that. And if you're wondering, do I live in the right neighborhood to attend iLead Agua Dulce? Basically, the answer is, if you can hear my voice, the answer is yes. Charter schools have a lot broader borders. Basically, if you live in LA County or even a surrounding county, you're allowed to attend. So again, our kindergarten roundup is February 18th, 6 p.m. via Zoom. We also, as we mentioned before, iLead Agua Dulce is expanding to open up high school next year. We're going to be opening up our 9th grade. We'll have a high school information night on Thursday, February 25th. So in just a couple of weeks, Thursday, February 25th, again, via Zoom. So we're going to keep it safe. To register, go to our website, iLeadAguaDulce.org. Now, I want you to stick around, because when we come back, you're going to find out why we're celebrating New Year's Day today. And I also want to talk to you about an interesting new trend that's taking us back to the 1980s. I'm Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.
Healthcare can be difficult if you're underinsured or have Medi-Cal. Samuel Dixon Family Health Center can help. Services are available on a sliding fee schedule. The mission of the Samuel Dixon Family Health Center is to give the Santa Clarita Valley access to affordable, quality primary care. There are 3 locations to serve you: Canyon Country, Newhall, and Valverde. Go to sdfhc.org for more information and to find the location most convenient for you.
I'm Kirk Stinson with Plumbing by Kirk. As a plumber, I've pretty much seen it all. From clogged drains to leaky pipes, running toilets, broken water heaters, broken garbage disposals, and yes, some stuff you've probably never even seen, or want to know about for that matter. I've installed new drains and natural gas lines for barbecues, answered hundreds of emergency calls even on holidays. Don't forget about our seasonal drain cleaning and preventative maintenance. My team and I do that too. No issue is too big or too small, residential or commercial.
Call now for estimates on new drain installations, old drain replacements, and water heaters. 263-6519 or log on to plumbingbykirk.com.
Celebrate the new year with the Canyon Theater Guild's new spring online youth workshops. Express yourself from the comfort of your own home with super fun classes like improv, script writing, audition techniques, and 2 brand new shows specifically designed for online performances. No borders, no experience necessary, and no end to the fun. Call 661-799-2702 or visit us at canyontheater.org.
These days, it's hard to figure out how to fill all the self-isolation time, let alone figure out what to have for lunch or dinner. Salt Creek Grill owner Greg Amsler is helping us out in a big way. Salt Creek is now offering takeout and curbside pickup, so you don't even have to get out of your car. Their entire menu is available for pickup or delivery, including to-go beer and wine. Hey. In addition, Greg's offering wine at 25% off, along with daily specials. If you'd like to buy a gift card for a future visit, now's the time. Buy a $50 gift card and get $10 extra on the card completely free. Buy a $100 gift card, you get an extra $25. Salt Creek Grill, located next to Regal Cinema at the Valencia Mall. For more info, go to saltcreekgrill.com.
No contract pest control. Did you hear that? Yes, Unipest has no contract, low impact, affordable, and environmentally and family-friendly pest control options with orange oil or other family-friendly products. Whether it's ants, spiders, gophers, termites, or bed bugs, Unipest Termite and Pest Control has an effective, eco-friendly option for you. Call Unipest today for a free orange oil inspection at 661-BUG-7575 or visit unipest.com.
Marla Ferris at Augusta Financial is the consummate mortgage professional, committed to helping you turn your dream of homeownership into reality. With more than 22 years in the finance mortgage industry, Marla brings extensive experience and top knowledge to help make your loan experience hassle-free. Given her honesty, integrity, and attention to detail, she is the loan officer you can trust. Marla knows what it takes to get you the best loan, the best rate, and the best service in the industry. You'll find Marla Ferris at Marla, FERRIS.com.
Are you looking for educational flexibility and choice? Look no further than your front door. iLead Exploration's independent study program is passionate about personalized learning. Our mission is to inspire learners to become creative problem solvers, compassionate leaders, conscientious collaborators, and responsible citizens who develop a lifelong love of learning. Our families partner with a credentialed teacher to customize each child's educational path. Families access community partners to choose a variety of in-person, online, and at-home options to create an optimal learning environment for each learner. Our program also values community, and through a variety of field studies, service projects, park days, and family gatherings, we provide many opportunities to foster friendships. Because there are currently in-person limitations due to COVID, we are offering activities online through webinars and virtual field trips. iLead Exploration is a tuition-free, independent study charter school program serving grades TK through 12 in Los Angeles, Orange, Kern, San Bernardino, and Ventura counties. To learn more about our program, visit iLeadExploration.org. iLead Schools, free to think, inspired to lead.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead Schools, Eye on the Valley. Happy New Year! That's right, we're celebrating New Year's Day today. Why? Well, because it's New Year's Day. That is on the lunisolar calendar. So, yeah, that's right, it is Lunar New Year today. The lunar solar calendar is based on the phases of the moon and the cycles of the sun, and today is Lunar New Year, celebrated mostly in Eastern Asia, most notably China, Korea, Vietnam, parts of Japan. It is, in China, it is the year of the ox. That's right, we start the year of the ox today, and, you know, in order to prevent any New Year's faux pas, you should use caution to avoid these Chinese New Year's taboos. So these are taboos, things that you don't want to do during the new year in China. For example, don't say any negative words, words with a negative connotation such as death, sick, empty, pain, ghost, poor, break, kill, all those negative words, because the thought is that will invite that for the entire new year on you. And darn it, you guys, look what you made me do. I just said all of them. So, gosh. Well, it's too late for me, but not too late for you. Avoid saying any negative words today, and hopefully you'll be able to have a positive new year. Boy, we could all use one. Another faux pas, something you don't want to do during Chinese New Year, don't break any ceramics or glass. Doing that will break your connection with prosperity and fortune. So do what I'm doing. Stick with the paper cups today. Patty's got that firm plastic. There we go. We're good. Now here's one I can definitely get down with. During the Chinese New Year, you're not supposed to clean or sweep. Cleaning or throwing out garbage may sweep away any good luck for the new year. So, you should have swept out the bad luck and your kitchen, a couple of days ago when we were exiting the year. But today, you don't want to clean, you don't want to throw out the trash, you don't want to sweep. You're going to be sweeping out all that good luck that wants to come into your life this year. Also, don't use any scissors, knives, or other sharp objects. And while that's just good sound advice for me every day, sharp objects in general will cut your stream of wealth and success. And actually, this is why 99% of hair salons in China and other East Asian countries are closed during the holidays. So, fortunately, as we finished up the Year of the Rat, as you guys on Facebook Live can see, I was able to get trimmed up finally. Boy, I was looking like a shaggy dog last week, but finally able to get an appointment, get my hair cut before the new year, because I don't want to cut my stream of wealth and success this year. Another thing you want to avoid during the Chinese New Year, and fellas, you can thank me later. Don't visit the wife's family. That's right. In China and many Asian cultures, it's tradition that when a couple gets married, the woman goes to live with the man's family, and oftentimes that includes his parents. And so seeing the wife's family is a trip. They have to go visit. Returning to her parents' house on New Year's Day tends to signify marriage problems, and it may also bring bad luck, not just to the couple, but the entire family. So the couple should visit the wife's family on the second day. So not today, but tomorrow. Again, gentlemen, you can thank me later. Do not demand debt repayment. Don't demand the repayment of debts on Chinese New Year. This allows everyone a chance to celebrate the new year, to ring in the new year without worry. So I guess I really stumbled over that one when Andrew came through the door today, didn't I, Patty?
Yeah.
Anyways, so if bill collectors call you today, just tell them, hey, and that ought to take care of things, right? They'll get the point, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. You should also avoid, this is just good sound advice any day, right? Avoid fighting and crying. This is all to ensure a smooth path to the new year. And do not give a New Year's blessing to someone who's still in bed. So if you do, they'll be bedridden the entire year. And lastly, and I want to point out that this is a Chinese New Year tradition. We here at Eye on the Valley do not recommend this one. But according to Chinese tradition, avoid taking medicine in order to avoid being sick the entire year. But remember, here at Eye on the Valley, we encourage you to take your medicine, especially if it's getting that all-important vaccine. A little bit more on that a little later in the show. But with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break and get caught up on the news. When we come back, important tax information from CPA Matt Denny. I'm Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVi and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.
Loss of hearing can affect the quality of life. Santa Clarita Hearing Center can help. They specialize in both preventative hearing loss and corrective measures, including diagnostic tests, new technology hearing aids, cochlear implants, hearing protection, and tinnitus treatment. They can adjust your current hearing aids or fit you for new ones. Santa Clarita Hearing Center also offers sleep molds, swim molds, and musician monitors. Book an appointment today. Log on to SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com, located on McBean Parkway next to the hospital. That's SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com.
Mend Cryotherapy is open. As always, they continue to clean and sanitize all equipment. Social distancing will be enforced and hand sanitizer will be provided throughout the facility. Temperature checks will be done daily on each employee, and masks will be provided if forgotten. They have amazing welcome back specials, including the $99 performance package, which includes a cryo session, pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, which boosts recovery of damaged cells, the aromatherapy oxygen bar, Nucom, and infrared sauna. There's also a beauty package with a cryofacial, infrared sauna, and more. And don't forget their extensive selection of health and wellness products, including CBD. Mend Cryotherapy is open Monday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. For more information, go to MEND, MEND, cryotherapy.com. Mend Cryotherapy on Newhall Ranch Road in the Gateway Shopping Center.
Traffic brought to you by the law firm of Owen Patterson Owen, helping Santa Clarita drivers recover from life-changing accidents for over 3 decades. Owen Patterson Owen, encouraging you to drive safely. Visit opolaw.com.
Excellence isn't just a word, it is what we deliver. Vanguard Protection Group is committed to providing its clients with the highest echelon of protective services available. Our clients not only receive the security services they contract for, but also reports that are well-written, articulate, and thorough. Our patrol officers operate at the highest levels and have an impressive rapport with local law enforcement. With military, police, private policing, and courtroom experience, you can trust that we have the strength to deliver our promise of excellence. Contact Vanguard Protection by calling 661-753-3611 or visiting their website at vanguardprotectiongroup.com.
KHTS AM 1220 and 98.1 FM Santa Clarita. It's 9 o'clock. Time for national news on KHTS.
Defending the former president, I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. Attorneys for former President Trump are presenting their opening arguments today in the Senate impeachment trial. Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz says he has no question about the outcome.
The end result of this trial is obvious to every single person in the room. President Trump is going to be acquitted.
House impeachment managers entered their opening arguments yesterday. Today, the former president's attorneys begin his defense and are expected to say Trump is not responsible for the deadly violence at the U.S. Capitol last month and cannot be found guilty of inciting insurrection. House impeachment managers in their arguments said the president's actions and comments after the election are to blame for the Capitol violence, but Democrats alone don't have the numbers to convict.
17 Republicans will have to cross the aisle to convict, and there's no indication that many have been swayed.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. The Biden administration today announcing a change in the country's border policy.
1 week from today, the Homeland Security Department will start allowing asylum seekers who've been waiting in Mexico to come to the U.S. for processing. In a statement, DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said the move does not mean the border is open to all migrants, saying changes take time. 3 ports, not yet disclosed, will be set up to process as many as 300 people a day. The migrants will be tested for coronavirus. President Biden has vowed to end the Trump administration's Remain in Mexico policy.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland in Washington. President Biden's top coronavirus advisor, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says Americans will need to wear masks for at least several more months to avoid contracting the disease as vaccines are rolled out. The Biden administration last night announced the government has contracted for enough vaccines to provide 2 doses for everyone in the country, but many won't be vaccinated until the summer. America is listening to Fox News.
So much is happening, but who can you trust? You need to check out Newsmax TV, the fastest growing news channel in America. Watch it on all major cable systems and see shows with Sean Spicer, Greg Kelly, Lindsay Keith, Stinchfield, and Rob Schmidt. They're giving you the real story on Biden and Pelosi. So download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone now or watch Newsmax on Roku, YouTube, Pluto, Zumo, and more. 30 million Americans watch Newsmax TV. So should you.
I'm giving Jeb's basement renovations 1 star. He kept asking me what's behind the walls down there. I'm like, why? What do you know?
No matter how hard you work for your small business, online reviewers will find something to complain about.
And then he's like, you can trust me with the job. And I'm all like, trust?
And while Progressive can't save you from these trolls, we can help you save money on commercial, auto, and business insurance.
Yeah, he charged me less than he said he would, which is lying.
Get a quote online today at progressivecommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliated and third-party insurers.
The Pentagon is targeting far-right extremism among the armed forces.
This in the wake of the Capitol riot that paralyzed Washington back on January 6th. Now, the problem, the military has no standardized operational definition of what constitutes extremism in either word or deed. On February 4th, the new SecDef General Lloyd Austin ordered a 60-day stand-down of the entire military in order for commanders to address, quote, extremism in the ranks. Earlier that week, General Austin convened chiefs and service secretaries from every branch to discuss the matter. One of their key findings, the military's last working definition of extremism dates back to 2012 and raises more questions than it answers.
Danish authorities say 14 people have been arrested in Denmark and Germany on suspicion of preparing one or several attacks in the 2 countries. The head of Denmark's Security and Intelligence Service says weapons and items that can be used to make a bomb were found, as well as a flag associated with ISIS. A new lockdown in Australia, imposing restrictions on a major tennis tournament.
The Australian state of Victoria is beginning a 3rd coronavirus lockdown, and this one comes as its capital, Melbourne, hosts the Australian Open tennis.
There are no fans.
There's no crowds.
State Premier Daniel Andrews announced the latest shutdown with a few hours warning. The tennis will continue, but without spectators.
I need every single Victorian to work with me and with our team so that we can run this to ground.
The lockdown comes after an outbreak linked to a quarantine hotel where people who'd arrived from overseas were being held. Simon Owen, Fox News.
The FDA has granted emergency use authorization for a molecular test from Becton Dickinson that can detect viruses that cause COVID-19 as well as influenza, with results available in 2 to 3 hours. Officials say the test also detects variants of coronavirus first reported in the UK and South Africa. I'm Rich Dennison, and this is Fox News.
I'm Stuart Varney, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Americans are feeling less confident about the economy this month. As measured by the University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index, the reading slumped in February. Eli Lilly shares are higher on optimism that a couple of treatments could receive FDA approval. One is for Alzheimer's disease, the other is an antibody medication to treat COVID-19. Music streaming service Spotify says starting this summer, it'll let its employees work from home, from the office, or a combination of the two. Beauty giant L'Oreal is predicting we'll be living in a post-pandemic roaring 20s with people getting dressed up to go out and socialize. Its CEO Jean-Paul Egon says in China, where many COVID restrictions have been eased, sales were up 27% last year. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Ginny Coselda, invested in you.
So much is happening, but who can you trust? You need to check out Newsmax TV, the fastest growing news channel in America. Watch it on all major cable systems and see shows with Sean Spicer, Greg Kelly, Lindsay Keith, Stinchfield, and Rob Schmidt. They're giving you the real story on Biden and Pelosi. So download the free Newsmax app on your smartphone now, or watch Newsmax on Roku, YouTube, Pluto, Zumo, and more. 30 million Americans watch Newsmax TV. So should you.
Thanks for listening to KHTS AM 1220, Canyon Country, California. K260CO 98.1 FM, Santa Clarita, California.
Green Thumb International, your lawn and garden professionals, have the widest variety of shrubs, flowering plants, and garden supplies in the Santa Clarita Valley.
Winter is the best time to plant spring bulbs, so you'll be rewarded with beautiful flowers and tasty and nutritious food in the upcoming milder months.
On Newhall Avenue in Old Town Newhall near Sierra Highway, Green Thumb puts the green in your thumb.
Bring your life. We'll help you make the most of it. Introducing 5 Point Valencia, a familiar place, and yet wonderfully different, with a fresh mix of homes, schools, parks, trails, and open space. All tuned to the way people want to live today. Learn more at Valencia.com.
When you look at your child, you see so much. A creative spirit that surprises you every day. A little leader growing to discover who they are, what they love, and how they can make the world better. At SCVi, we see those same amazing things. Our tuition-free TK through 12 charter school provides boundless opportunities to think critically and imagine freely, with a learning program customized just for your child. Today, that means empowering your child to bring strengths and passions to the distance learning environment. Our approach keeps your child and family in step while online, inspiring your learner to keep growing without missing a beat. At SCVi, your child will find even more ways to grow with projects and activities in STEAM, robotics, theater, music, and sports. With the only international baccalaureate program in Santa Clarita, SCVi produces graduates who excel at top universities and in life. For enrollment information or to learn more about our distance learning program, visit ileadsantaclarita.org. iLead Schools. Free to think, inspired to lead.
Hey there, it's Tori with your hometown station weather. Sunny skies this afternoon with highs in the upper 60s, could touch 70. Overnight lows in the mid-40s. More of the same tomorrow. For anything and everything Santa Clarita Valley related, go to hometownstation.com.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
The following is sponsored programming and does not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of KHTS or its ownership.
Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. Our next guest is CPA Matt Denny. Denny & Company LLP was established in 1984 by founding partners Patrick and Carolyn Denny. The firm is currently comprised of two partners, Carolyn Denny and Matt Denny. The partners and staff bring a wealth of accounting, finance, information technology, and business expertise to their clients. They cater to small businesses and individuals, recognizing that every client is different with their own special needs and desires. Matt himself brings 30 years' experience in accounting, information systems, and other IT areas, as well as a broad range of experience in accounting, tax, and other services. He is past president of the Santa Clarita Rotary Club and has held various other nonprofit board and volunteer positions here in the Santa Clarita Valley. Matt, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, and I know we're heading into your busy season, so we really appreciate you separating a little time to chat with us to help get people's brains on their returns. As I mentioned, it's tax season, so we all see kind of in popular culture how much of a crunch this can be for CPAs. What's your life like typically in the spring?
Oh well, it's we're blessed with a lot of work, and so spring is usually we call it tax season,
right?
And really, it goes on until the fall because we have to extend a lot of returns because information isn't available by the time it's first due. This was especially true last year when they extended the deadlines to July, and then it still went to October. So it's been a little crazier than usual this past year and so far this year as well because of COVID and all the complications involved in that. On top of which, we have to keep our office at 25% or less occupancy from its normal period. So that's presented some fun challenges. I'm standing in my home office as I speak to you.
Yeah, I can imagine you're doing a lot of things remotely this year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So last year, and you talked about how it affected folks' returns. A lot of things were delayed, and a lot of folks, including myself, even put their returns off until October. The pandemic really took grip kind of mid-season, right there in the middle of March for you last year.
Right.
So how did that affect people's behavior? I'm trying to remember my own returns. Why did it cause the delay for folks?
Well, it didn't cause a delay for everyone. I mean, there are folks that, every year they do their taxes. They get their stuff prepared, brought to us like clockwork, and they want it out by the deadline, no matter whether the feds change the deadline or not. So we did quite a bit of that. But a lot of our clients are small business people, and their February and March was taken up with dealing with COVID, especially if they dealt with the public or were restaurants or whatnot. And then there was also the application for PPP funds as well as SBA loans. And that took up, a lot of our time in March of last year. And it's taken up a lot of time. There's a second round of PPP along with the forgiveness applications, and that's taken up a lot of our time as well so far this year.
So are you expecting things to be pretty similar this year?
No, I don't think so. I think people are used to it and have taken working from home in stride now or meeting by Zoom.
Yep.
I think it's going to be a bit more normal. It's a little bit more busy for us than normal because of the extra, loans that folks are applying for, et cetera. So it'll be a normal tax season. I mean, normal given COVID, right?
Right, exactly. Let's all raise a glass to a little bit of normalcy here. But it's been a crazy year. So even when we do have typical years, there's always changes in the tax law and, different things with different years. So what about this year? Has the IRS taken it easy a little bit on us this year? What's new? What's different for our 2020 returns in regards to our taxes?
One of the good things about all of this and the chaos politically that we've had in the country, et cetera, is that Congress isn't passing a lot of delicate or complicated legislation. So last year there was not major tax reform. That had happened for 2018, where a lot of people stopped having itemized deductions because they doubled the standard deduction. And so this year that's $24,800 for a typical married filing jointly family, which means, and then they limited the amount of state and local tax that could be deducted. And since a lot of us pay a lot of property tax and state income tax, that was a tax hit back in 2018 and 19 and will continue to be this year. That may change with the new administration and the new Congress because, frankly, it seemed like most of the states that were affected were blue states. Typically, they have higher state taxes than anybody else in the country. So it was an attempt to stop the subsidy of those taxes, but that'll probably get undone because there are just millions and millions of voters who supported basically the Democrats in the presidential election, and they're going to have an outside influence on the coming Congress.
Okay.
I don't mean to get political at all. I'm just trying to talk about what's probably going to happen, whether that's a good thing or not. Overall for the nation, it'll certainly be good for California residents because we have an especially large tax burden at the state and local level.
Yeah, tell me about it. But the weather's great, right?
Yeah, the weather's great. There's no water to drink, but the weather's great.
Hey, we've got coffee.
I guess.
Okay. So we've one of the things that's dominated kind of the financial conversation over the last 6-8 months is the different stimulus payments from the federal government. So if I've received one or both of the previous two federal stimulus checks, do I have to report that on either my U.S. or my California returns this year?
Well, no. That is a credit from the government, not a deduction or the like. It's a reduction in tax, basically.
Gotcha.
And reductions in tax are not taxable, therefore you wouldn't report them. The question becomes, did you receive them and were you qualified to receive them? So if your income was such that you qualified for the $1,200 stimulus plus the kids and, your spouse and perhaps the late year $600 that went out, you don't report it as income, but you do report any portion of that you didn't get. Okay, so if you didn't get the $1,200, you still qualify, you still get a $1,200 credit on your tax return, and that's a refundable credit.
Okay, cool. So if I didn't get it in the mail, then I can just take it right there off of my return, assuming I qualify. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay,
right.
Cool.
And the jury's still out, I believe, unless I'm mistaken. I have been a little busy, but they hadn't announced whether or not people that got their $600 stimulus in 2021, whether that counts. I think it probably will count for 2020 because if you get stimulus in excess of what you're qualified for, that doesn't have to be paid back. And therefore, we don't want reporting it next year and getting credit for it for the prior year. I don't think the government's gonna want that, but they haven't come out with an official pronouncement yet, as far as I know.
Right, that's interesting. It'd be kind of wonky that way, just with the change of the calendar from December to January. Now,
sure.
The president and Congress are now working on a third round of stimulus payments, and I would assume that one, similar to the first two, would be based on my returns and my taxable income. So knowing that those payments are probably on the way before April 15th, should I make the determination as to whether to file earlier or later in the season based on those payments? So for example, if I got a raise last year and my return is going to indicate a higher level of income in 2020, should I hold off so that I get that third round of payments, or is that going to come out in the wash when I file next year?
Well, because it looks like, we're not having to pay back overpayment of stimulus, that might be a good idea. Because if you don't qualify in 2021, but you did in 2020, and by extending, it's a good idea and something that should be looked at. So, if that's possibly the case, I would perhaps wait. You do want to make sure that if you owe any tax for 2020, that it gets paid by April 15th.
Okay.
But there's actually nothing to stop you from getting an automatic extension of your return to account for potential retroactive changes or things that might affect you. I don't know if that's going to work, and I highly doubt that there are going to be that many people whose income went up enough last year to take them out of qualifying. Last year was kind of sucky income-wise for a lot of people.
Right.
And but there are going to be couples that are right on the cusp of the 150 or whatever it turns out to be in this legislation. And if it's like before, they'll base it on prior years if you haven't filed yet. So, but there are also other special cases like couples that got divorced during the year, having to wait until another return is filed because the government, wants to make sure that they qualify individually for the credit as well.
So that's a good point. And you mentioned that 2020 was kind of a crummy year in terms of income. So there might be folks that want to hurry up and get their returns submitted if 2020 signified a significant decrease in income that would then kick in a stimulus that, based on their 2019 returns, maybe they wouldn't have gotten.
Right, and they're probably in a hurry to get whatever refund they have coming to them, if any.
That's true.
So yeah, and today is the first day to e-file. It's a little delayed this year. In my recollection, it's usually the third or fourth week in January that they open up e-filing. However, this year, because of COVID, they've had to delay that. Okay. And they reprogram everything every year, and it's not the newest software in the world. So an army of programmers has to update all this stuff, and they've been out on COVID leave. Anytime anyone's exposed at an IRS office, they close the whole office for 2 weeks. And so that has really gummed up the works, and I feel really bad for the IRS. I know a lot of people don't like them, but they have an almost impossible job trying to enforce the dictates of Congress. At the same time, they're understaffed and under-budgeted, and then on top of it all this work is piled up from last year. And it's very hard to get a hold of them. It's kind of that's the most difficult part of it, is trying to resolve problems for folks with the IRS because they're just not around in a lot of cases. It's gotten better, and hopefully as the vaccine continues to spread, that'll get better as well. But in the meantime, it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know
that totally changed the topic, didn't it?
A little bit. I don't know that phrase has been uttered on the radio recently. I feel really bad for the IRS. We're talking to CPA Matt Denny today, and Matt, we're so grateful that you're joining us here on what is the first day that you could be filing for your clients. We really appreciate the time. So let's talk about property owners, because there are a lot of folks that do rely on maybe a second piece of property for a little bit more income or retirement savings. If I'm a property owner and my tenants have not been able to pay rent for a portion or a significant amount of the year because they were laid off or what have you, we've heard in the news about these different laws and regulations that prevent evictions and things like that. But if I'm the property owner who's not receiving that income that I normally would, are there any kind of deductions or credits that I should be claiming on my return this year?
Well, sort of. The deduction part of it comes in the form of a reduction in income, which is the same thing as a deduction, right? Mm-hmm. It's an additional expense, or it's less income.
Sure.
So if, let's say, you would receive $2,000 a month rent on your townhome, but for 6 months out of the year, the rent wasn't paid. So now you're only going to have received $12,000, and that means your income will be down $12,000, and chances are you'll have a loss on your Schedule E for your rental property.
Right.
And then that loss becomes an offset to your other income. So although it's unfortunate, it can be helpful for folks tax-wise.
Yeah.
Because they just won't have as much income as normal, or they'll have a bigger loss. In a lot of cases, rental properties have non-cash losses in the first few years, which makes them attractive as investments. That's why one of the reasons why people do it is because there are tax advantages to renting property. And it's unfortunate because it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you lose that income, you still have to pay the mortgage. I know there was some mortgage relief for people with rental property, but still the interest is going to accrue, and it's a tough thing. And I still don't understand where the CDC gets the authority to suspend evictions nationwide over health care issues. That may be an appropriate thing for government to do, but I just don't see where they have the authority in the Constitution. I talk about, the poor IRS. That being the case, I'm still not very sympathetic to the giant federal bureaucracy that we have that requires all these taxes. So don't get me wrong. I feel sorry for them on an individual basis.
Well, yeah.
But government in general has reacted wrong to this crisis in so many ways. And exacerbated the problems, just like they did in 2008 when we had the real estate crash.
Sure, and they built in all these different regulations that were kind of beating a dead horse or a little bit.
But so far there aren't any special things for people renting. They just will report less income.
Yeah.
Just like any other business that's had a problem.
And you're right. Oftentimes Congress will step in and attempt to kind of plug a hole. Well, COVID, people are out of work, and so they shouldn't be evicted. But they don't always go that extra step down the line, right? And I always wonder things like, okay, so if I'm renting and I'm not able to pay rent but still can't be evicted, and now it's getting cold out there and the heater broke. It makes for an interesting conversation with my landlord if I'm not paying rent, doesn't it?
Oh, sure. Yeah, and I have a client who owns whose mother depends on the income from a condo that she owns here in town. And they stopped getting rent back in December of 2019 from their new tenant. Okay? Mm-hmm. They were about to start proceedings to have him evicted. And this was totally un-COVID related, but suddenly, nope, can't evict anybody. So this fellow who wasn't paying rent already continued to not pay rent. And as far as I know, he's still in that apartment, not evicted. And these folks have lost a lot of money. And this income is really important for keeping this person in memory care.
Yeah.
It's critical to keeping their family from going broke. And so it seems a bit unfair to me, and these are the kinds of things that government doesn't think about. They don't think about the unforeseen consequences or the moral hazard that they present when they give these opportunities, like the $2,000 a month unemployment bonus. We come to find out that there's $30 billion in fraud in the California unemployment system over that because it was just too lucrative to not be full of fraud.
Yeah, but
you create that incentive, and you're going to attract the worst in people, even though you're trying to help them to get through a crisis. People will take advantage of it. And that's the same thing with this rent relief.
Yeah. But what's a couple billion between friends, right? We're talking this morning with CPA Matt Denny from Denny & Company, LLP. We have to take a quick break, but we've got a lot more important tax information for you when we get back. You're listening to SCVi and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. I'm Matt Watson on your hometown station, KHTS.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and when I invented my pillow, I wanted to have everything you'd ever want in a pillow. You can adjust the patented fill to your exact individual needs. You can wash and dry my pillow. It has a 10-year warranty not to go flat, and it's made in the USA. And now, for a limited time, you can get a queen-size premium My Pillow for the lowest price ever. Regularly $69.98, now only $29.98. That's a $40 savings. I'm also giving you deep discounts on all my MyPillow products, including my bed sheets, mattress toppers, and bath towels. Buy now and I'll extend my 60-day money-back guarantee to March 1st, 2021.
Go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code KHTS or call 800-973-3927 and use the promo code KHTS. That's 800-973-3927 or go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code KHTS.
If you'd like to take your business up a notch, take a look at Elite Magazine.
Linda and Mo Hafizi, owners of our Valley's two leading magazines, the Magazine of Santa Clarita and Elite.
I'm so proud of Elite. It allows your advertisement to stand out. We distribute Elite to 50,000 homes and businesses. You'll find us in 1,900 local hotel rooms.
Discover how Elite Magazine can help your business. Call 294-4444.
Superior quality is second nature to us. Just ask our advertisers.
Comfort Keepers provides your loved one with loving in-home care.
Miles McNamara, certified senior advisor and owner of Comfort Keepers in-home care.
Our caregivers can help you in your own home, enhancing independence, creating safety and comfort. Our Comfort Keepers provide companionship, meal preparation, medication reminders, assistance with personal care, and even transportation to doctor's appointments. If someone you love can use a helping hand at home, visit comfortkeepers.com.
Or call 287-4200.
If you'd like to take your business up a notch, take a look at Elite Magazine.
Linda and Mo Hafizi, owners of our Valley's two leading magazines, the Magazine of Santa Clarita and Elite.
I'm so proud of Elite. It allows your advertisement to stand out. We distribute Elite to 50,000 homes and businesses. You'll find us in 1,900 local hotel rooms.
Discover how Elite Magazine can help your business. Call 294-4444.
Superior quality is second nature to us. Just ask our advertisers.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and we're joined today by CPA Matt Denny from Denny & Company, LLP. And, with spring, everybody's mind turns toward their return, and with a CPA on the line, everybody perks up and wants to ask a question about their own personal situation. I know Patty wants to know if he can write off that Kobe Bryant memorial jersey that he bought last year. But since I'm the one with the microphone, we're going to talk about my issues. Matt, I know I'm not the only one in this situation, but, my son just started college this year, and we've got listeners who also have kids that just started college, or maybe they move their kids from the public to the private sector in terms of their schooling. What can we write off in terms of tuition payments, books? Can I write off the microwave that I bought him for his dorm? What kind of things can I write off?
It's funny, I just had that up on my screen. There are two different credit programs that are available for college tuition. One is called, oh my goodness, I wish it was still up on my screen. I'm having a senior moment here. But there's the American Opportunity Tax Credit, which is for the first 4 years of school. You can take this credit 4 times, and the person that gets to take it is the person who's paying the bill.
There we go.
Assuming that this student of yours is still a dependent, which means that you provide more than half of their support, and they're under 23 and a half, and they're full-time students, then you can claim the credit. Now, if this child, and frankly, until people are 23 and a half, they are children.
Right.
At least I was.
I was until I was about 43.
Well into my 30s, actually.
Right.
But for tax purposes, anyhow, if the student works, then you want to take a look at whether it makes more sense to have them take the credit or not.
Okay.
And claim themselves as a dependent. Having dependents is not as lucrative as it used to be, because it used to allow you to get an exemption from tax for a certain amount of your income for each dependent that you have. That's gone now. And we just have the standard deduction, which got doubled. So a good CPA will compare what would happen. And because of that, you want to make sure that, today's the first day to file. There's going to be a lot of college students filing so they can get their refund.
Right.
And they're going to take themselves as a dependent. They're not going to indicate that they're somebody else's dependent. That will increase their deduction, but it may be bad on their parents' tax returns, because if they don't indicate that they're the dependent of another, then they'll bounce as a dependent when you file your e-filing. So make sure that your student is part of your tax discussion.
Absolutely. And I'll make sure I send them maybe
they don't file on their own before you get a chance to find out what the optimal mix is.
Right. Listen, kid, I'll send you a couple of steaks that you can have, and I'm claiming you as a dependent this year. All right. So
now the other credit is the lifetime learning credit, and that's available, all through your life, not just the first 4 years. So your accountant or your tax software will do a comparison of which one is the biggest advantage for you. There are some things that qualify for the AOTC but don't qualify for lifetime learning, and vice versa. And those details are, pretty esoteric, so call your tax professional if you're not sure. Chances are they'll be asking you the right questions, or your software will.
Right. Well, that's good to know. We don't want to miss any of those. So with the pandemic this year and the ensuing stay-at-home orders and things like that, so many of us have been working at home who otherwise would have been going into the office. So is there anything that we can write off? Can we write off our home office, or a portion of my rent, or my mortgage, my utilities, my internet? What can I write off now that I'm working at home?
Right. Well, that all depends on what kind of work you're doing. If you're self-employed or you're employed by your own company, which is the same thing, but people get a mix-up between having a Schedule C, working as a independent contractor or whatnot, and having your own corporation. But if you're not working for wages for someone else, then the opportunity is there for you to be able to have a home office deduction and be able to deduct some of the other costs of your working from home. However, they have changed the law in 2018 to make it almost impossible to deduct any unreimbursed employee expenses. And that was on Form 2106, and then that would flow to Schedule A as an itemized deduction. Well, that's gone now because they doubled the standard deduction and decided to get rid of that, because it was an area of a lot of cheating, where people said, oh, I had all these expenses like my cell phone and my mileage and my uniforms and all the rest of that. In many cases, that's valid, or was valid, but in a lot of cases there was fraud involved. So they just decided to simplify everything. It was one less thing that the IRS had to audit. But it means that if you're working for a W-2 for someone other than yourself, there is not a very good chance that you will get a tax deduction for any of your home office items. And that's going to become a point of negotiation with employers, and should have been, because if you're working from home for the benefit of an employer, they should pay you more, frankly.
I agree with you, Matt. And my boss is
well,
sitting here in the corner.
Sometimes they don't have any money, right? and you're lucky to keep your job, so you have to be careful with that. But a good employer would take that into consideration, and they would then get to have that deduction. So. It all depends on your individual situation.
As I mentioned, my boss happened to walk in the studio here, but I feel like the pendulum's swinging against me now, so let's move on. As you know, we are...
Just trying to help.
I know you are, Matt. You're great. You're fantastic. As you know, we're an education-based show, and so I want to ask about teachers. Because I don't know that all of our listeners know this. Most teachers spend a good chunk of their own salary every year on supplies for their classes and for their students. But with this year's shift to distance learning, I feel like so many teachers have invested in new software and document cameras and digital curriculum and things like that, just to make their own lives easier and to provide a better education for their students. So you've got a teacher who's making maybe $50,000-$60,000 a year and spending upwards of 5-10% of that on materials and supplies for their kids. The government used to include, I think it was a $500 deduction. It was reduced to $250. But we weren't allowed to claim anything beyond that as teachers, and that may even have been eliminated. What, in terms of anything specific to teachers, can we claim this year?
I believe the 250 is still in place.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I don't have a lot of teachers anymore as clients who do this. I do know that it's very much in excess of 250 for most teachers, just like you're pointing out.
Right.
And it used to be that there was the argument that you could deduct some of that as employee expenses, like the 2106 that I was just mentioning.
Sure.
But now that's gone. So yeah, it's just like everybody else who had to spend more to work at home or whatnot. It all depends on the nature of your income, whether you can deduct those things. So there are teachers who work as independent contractors.
Yep.
For example, I know someone who works for a music conservancy, and she works for various other, orchestras and choirs and things, and gets 1099. Well, yes, she's able to deduct appropriate expenses against that 1099 income, and so she's able to take advantage of that. Whereas if you work for the William S. Hart District or for a charter school or whatnot, for a W-2, you just don't have the opportunity to do that. And I think they should change the law, but then again, I think they should change a lot of laws. It's unfortunate on this one because our teachers do really, our dedicated teachers really sacrifice for our kids and our families. And we ought to reward them for that, or at least not punish them.
Yeah,
and causing them to have to buy their own supplies, I think, is a punishment. It's a reduction in pay that ought to be compensated or be given a tax break, but that's not the case.
Right. There's, you and I, once we get through tax season, you and I will put our heads together and figure out how we can solve the ills of the world. Matt, is there anything else that we're missing?
King, I'll fix everything.
Hey, there we go. Alrighty. Is there anything else we're missing? We talked about how there weren't too many changes for personal income taxes this year. Anything new for small businesses that they should be looking out for? Anything else that we need to keep a heads up for?
Well, there is another round of the Payroll Protection Act.
There we go.
Our firm is in the middle of applying for it again, and it helped us last year. One of the good things about that is it's turning out that not only the rules have changed on the PPP all along, and so for some businesses it may be worth it to wait a little bit to see what the ending status is of last year's PPP, whether or not it ends up being taxable or not. I think right now we're in the situation that not only is it not taxable if it's forgiven, which usually forgiveness of debt is a taxable event, right?
Sure.
If I tell you don't owe me $10,000 anymore, I'm going to write it off, and you're not going to pay it, so that becomes income to you.
Right.
Well, for the PPP, they're saying it's not income, and they also had told us that we couldn't deduct the expenses that were paid for with the PPP, but now they're telling us we can. So it's sort of a double benefit for small business. So you want to be really careful about that. Make sure you do it right. And then the new round of PPP is open right now. A lot of folks have already applied for it. We've applied for it and been approved, and we're just waiting on the docs. So it's a fairly straightforward and simple process, especially now that the banks have gone through it last year.
Right.
And if you're confused or need to know whether or not you qualify, give us a call. and we can help you with the application process. We have a couple of banks that we refer folks to that are different. They're online banks that process these applications different than Bank of America or Wells Fargo, et cetera, who you can also apply to.
Yeah, and perfect segue, Matt. This is all great information, and we do, again, appreciate you joining us. So if people have questions, how would they contact you?
Well, our office number is 661-286-8860. And otherwise, we're located in the Bank of America building on Valencia Boulevard across from City Hall. We're in Suite 101, right next to Bank of America.
Fantastic. Again, that number is 661-286-8860. Matt, can't thank you enough for taking the time out of your day to join us, give us a little bit of advice and heads up. You have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you hopefully real soon. When we come back, it's everybody's favorite segment. We're going to have fun with Big T. This is SCVi, and I lead schools Eye on the Valley. I'm your host, Matt Watson, and this is your hometown station, KHTS.
With locations throughout the valley, Providence offers the most advanced technology and therapies for treating cancer in Southern California. Call 1-888-HEALING for your annual checkup or second opinion. The road to healing leads to Providence.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. For a limited time, you can get a queen-size premium MyPillow for the lowest price ever. Regularly $69.98, now only $29.98. MyPillow is patented and adjusts to any sleep position. It's washable and dryable, comes with a 10-year warranty, and 100% made in the USA. I'm also giving you deep discounts on all my MyPillow products, including my bed sheets, mattress toppers, and bath towels. That's $29.98 for a queen-size premium MyPillow, and deep discounts on all my MyPillow products. Buy now, and I'll extend my 60-day money-back guarantee to March 1st, 2021.
Go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code KHTS or call 800-973-3927 and use the promo code KHTS. That's 800-973-3927 or go to MyPillow.com and use the promo code KHTS.
Coyote Creek locations, there's lots to offer. 3 acres of manicured landscape, actually in the heart of Agua Dulce in the Santa Clarita Valley. Craving the outdoors? I know I am. What about a baby shower, wedding ceremony, reception, picnic, holiday parties? Everything's been moved outside. We need to support healthy space and distancing, I know. But it's not how far apart we are. It's definitely about the treasured memories we create. Making moments with loved ones, friends, family. How do you beat that? Go to CoyoteCreekLocations.com. You've got to book your next perfect event. CoyoteCreekLocations.com.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVi and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. And it is time for Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. Big T, he is a longtime resident of the Santa Clarita Valley. He's a business leader and philanthropist. He is the quintessential family man and community member. And he's going to celebrate all 4 of this weekend's major holidays all wrapped up in one by dressing up as Cupid on President's Day and shouting Gung Hai Fat Tuesday. So he is Mom's favorite. Big T, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Maddie. How are you?
I'm doing well. Let's get right to it because we've also got producer Sarah on the line. And as you mentioned in the Facebook Live comments, we're playing Battle of the Sexes today. And Engineer Patty's going to keep score for us. So let me lay it out there.
Yes, indeed.
Let me lay it out there
Hey, Maddie,
really quickly.
I got one quick question, Matt. I know that CPA was trying to be helpful, but he used the word esoteric. Is it all ironic that I don't know what that means?
Is it ironic or esoteric? I don't know. I don't know. Yes.
All right. You want me to explain it to Patty real quick?
Sure. Go for it.
Okay, good. So I've got questions for Sarah, questions for Matt, and each one of them has 3 multiple choice. As soon as I ask the question, you get the option of answering without the multiple choice, and you'll get 2 points for a correct answer. If you take the multiple choice and get it correct, you only get 1 point. Okay. If you miss the question, the opposite sex can steal,
But they don't get the multiple choice unless it's already been given, and they get 1 point for a steal. So, Patty, does that make sense? Because you're gonna have to keep score, buddy.
Oh yeah, no.
Okay.
So it's if you don't get it right in the get-go, or if you get it right in the get-go, it's 2. If it's either or, it's gonna be 1 or just none.
Right. Well, if you get the multiple choice, it's 1 point.
Yep.
You get it without the multiple choice, it's 2 points.
Yep.
Sarah, you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do this. I'm in my power stance here.
In what sport does the top team win the Stanley Cup?
Hockey.
That's 2 points for Sarah.
2 points for Sarah.
Hey.
Matthew, what type of flour do you use to thicken sauces? You want the multiple choice?
What type of flour? Yeah, give me the multiple choice.
Plain flour, self-raising flour, corn flour.
I'm going with corn flour.
1 point for Matthew.
Woohoo!
2-1.
Sarah, a slash is used on your bowling scorecard when?
You get a spare.
2 points for Sarah.
4-1.
She's killing me.
Matthew.
Yes.
What is a traditional gift for a 60th wedding anniversary?
Oh. I need the multiple choice on this one.
Diamonds, gold, sapphires.
60th is not diamonds. It's not gold. I'm going with sapphires.
Sarah, would you like to steal?
Oh, you know what? Queen Elizabeth recently celebrated her diamond jubilee, so I'm going to go with diamonds.
Wow.
5-1
for Sarah.
5-1.
Sarah, question for you. What baseball team calls Fenway Park their home?
Oh, Matt knows I know this one. It's the Red Sox. He gives me a hard time for them being my favorite.
7-1.
Matt, which of these events is not present in women's gymnastics? I'm going to have to give you the multiple choice because you can't just randomly guess. So, floor, vault, parallel bars.
In women's gymnastics, parallel bars.
Correct.
Does he get 1 or 2 for that?
He gets 1.5 at least.
No, I'll be
Sure,
generous.
sure,
I'll give him
1.5.
2. I'll give him. I think we should give him 2. Just be generous. So
Sarah,
7-3.
Porsche automobiles are made in what country?
I'm going to
You want the multiple choice?
Germany.
Germany is correct. 2 more points for Sarah.
9-3.
That's not fair because there's only 204 countries. It was already multiple choice.
Matt, tuxedo fold, bishop's mitre, and peacock's tails are all what?
They're.
You want the multiple choice?
Yeah.
Famous works of art, cocktails, or ways of folding table napkins?
Yeah, table napkins.
Perfect. 1 point for Matthew.
9-4.
Yeah, Patty's enjoying this a little too much.
A little bit.
Sarah, between the ages of 26 and 50, the average man loses 26 pounds of what? You want the multiple choice?
I think I need that, yes.
All right. Muscle, fat, hair.
I'm going to say muscle because hair's just mean.
Muscle is correct. 1 more point for producer Sarah.
10-4.
Hey, and Sarah, just for the record, I'm not balding, but my hair is back on defense.
Matt, because you're getting beat, you got a truth or dare question thrown your way. You ready? Who was your secret crush that you never told, Matt? Did you have a secret crush and you never told her?
We're gonna go dare. Actually, yes, I did.
Okay, who is it?
She still lives in this community, so we're still going dare.
No, there is no dare. It's the truth. Come on now.
No, we're moving on.
He's gonna forfeit the game if you push him harder, Tony.
All right,
because
Matt,
because
what
remember, I'm single again, Tony. I still got a shot.
Matt, which fashion designer created the now infamous sequined pointy bras worn by Madonna? I know you need the multiple.
Okay, yeah.
Jean-Paul Gaultier, Dolce & Gabbana, Christian Dior.
I'm going Dior.
Sarah, would you like to steal?
I'm going to go with whoever the first one was.
Oh, come on.
Jean-Paul Gaultier is correct.
She just wanted to hear you say...
That's 11-4.
I think producer Sarah just wanted to hear Big T say Jean-Paul Gaultier again.
Yeah, I think so.
I knew I couldn't say it.
Sarah, how often do you have to rotate the air in your tires? Do you want the multiple choice?
I did not know you needed to rotate air in tires, so I better go for multiple choice, yes.
Once a month? Never? Once a year?
I'm going to go never.
Correct. One more point for producer Sarah.
I don't even know what rotate the air means. Jeez.
Matt, musician Kenny G is famous for playing what instrument?
That would be...
You want the multiple choice?
No. The clarinet.
Sarah, would you like to steal?
Is it a saxophone?
It is a saxophone.
I knew it was saxophone or clarinet. So, oh, jeez. Kenny G.
Producer Sarah, what is the highest hand you can get in poker?
Royal flush.
Royal flush is correct. 2 points for producer Sarah.
That is 15.
Matthew.
Yeah.
Matthew, what is Chanel's most famous perfume?
Number 5.
Number 5, 2 points for Matthew.
13-6.
Jeez.
Sarah, what major car company uses a prancing horse as its trademark?
That would be Ferrari.
Ferrari is correct.
15-6.
You know, there's also a prancing horse out by Denver Airport. It's a little scary.
Yes, there is. Matt, which popular female singer launched her career in the all-girls band The Go-Go's?
Belinda Carlisle.
Belinda Carlisle's correct.
That is 8 for Matt now.
Producer Sarah, what color is transmission fluid? You want the multiple?
I'm going to guess blue.
Matthew, would you like to steal?
Yeah, give me the multiple choice. I think I know it, though.
Brown, red, or clear?
It's red.
It is correct.
15-9. He's coming back. He's coming back.
Matt, what type of beauty product does Paul Mitchell make?
He makes hair products, shampoo.
Hair products are correct.
15-11. He's coming back.
There we go.
Producer Sarah, what's a Black Hawk? Do you want the multiple?
I'm going to guess helicopter.
It is a helicopter. 2 points.
And 17-11.
I saw that movie.
But it's also a hockey player and a Native American tribe. Do I get points for that?
Matt, if you were born in the month of May, what would your birthstone be?
Emerald.
Emerald is correct.
Because not only do I know my mother's birthday, I know her birthstone.
17-13.
Thank you.
Outstanding. Producer Sarah, what kind of product is WD-40?
Oh, it's that stuff in the can that you spray to loosen things.
We'll give you general purpose lubricant.
Oh.
Now it's 19-13.
Okay, and we've got about 2 minutes left, Big T.
All righty, Matt, what shape is a princess cut diamond?
Triangular?
You want the multiple?
Sure.
Circle, oval, square.
Oh, circle.
Sarah, would you like to steal?
It's a square.
It's a square.
That's 20-13, and we got 1 minute left.
Patty, you're a square.
One more. Producer Sarah, where would you use a roto-rooter?
I'm going to guess that would be the toilet.
A block drain or block toilet, correct.
22-13.
What bra is a larger cup size? 42B, 36D, 38C.
36D. And with that, I'm going to have to thank you all for joining us. I want to thank my guests, Melissa Ortiz and Grace Wells from Agua Dulce, CPA Matt Denny, Big T, my ace, and producer Sarah for kicking my butt. Join us again next week and every Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVi, and I lead schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.